What's up, folks? Starting the Instagram Live. Cards by Max. We're gonna be doing an Instagram Live. This is kind of spontaneous. What's up, Rem? Stick around. We're gonna be doing an interview with someone. Oh, maybe I should invite her. Let's see how this works. What's up, Isaac? The fam. 808. Sound check. Is everything okay? Can you guys hear me okay? What's good, NYC? We're gonna be doing kind of like just a Q&A thing. Pokimonbreaks just joined the live. I seen your story. What a crazy pool. Mahalo. We got a content creator who's gonna be joining us in a second. Let's see if I can add her in here. What's up, fellas? Hi, Kim.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good.
Nice
Good.
to see you.
I know. Good to finally talk to you face to face. So you're in
How you
Australia,
going?
right?
I am, yep, that's right. I'm near Sydney, about an hour and a half north of Sydney, Australia.
Wow. That's a big time difference.
It is, yeah. Today is Sunday. It's Easter Sunday. It's 11:30 in the morning. What about for you?
It's still Saturday here. I think it's like
Yeah,
3:30. Yeah.
you
Wow.
having a
So
good weekend?
yeah, just been busy, like nonstop. Like you have like a list of things to do, and like you can only like get like one thing done.
And then you realize there's like four other things attached to that one thing that you did?
Well, then you get distracted, and like half your day is gone.
Yeah,
But I know you're busy. You have like a set like Twitch schedule that you follow, right?
yeah. So I'm streaming this afternoon. That's in about, what is that, 2.5 hours from now?
2.5 hours.
So that should be fun. I went overseas. I actually grew up in the US, so I grew up in the Midwest,
Oh,
and I went back home for a couple of weeks. So I've missed a few streams, and I'm excited to get back into it. The mail has piled up. I have some PR packages and some stuff that I ordered, so I've got heaps of stuff to do today. That'll be
wow.
fun.
So what did you go to again?
So I went back home where
Oh,
I grew up. I grew up in Kansas.
Kansas. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a long flight.
Yeah, it was 16 hours from Sydney to Texas, and then another big flight from there.
You have some of your fans saying welcome back.
Thank you.
Got
Oh,
50
shiny
people
hunter
up
dude
there.
guy. Yeah, so it is. It's already Sunday here. Sorry, I'm terrible at keeping up with chat. SoTube's here. How you going, SoTube? Love it.
We have some like same like community friends and from Instagram.
Yeah. Hi, Roger.
So
Is it?
when you do Twitch streams, like what kind of is it mostly Pokemon or is it also gaming or
It's
mostly
mostly
Pokemon?
Pokemon. So I do a variety of things. I'll do like pack openings, and I prefer just doing personal opening. I'm not someone that sells packs
Okay.
on there. I'll do pack openings. I've done some gaming from my PC. I don't have the card to be able to use my Switch on stream just yet, so it's just PC games I do sometimes. I like to do painting, so I do card altars on Twitch.
Wow.
Um, That's usually like the end of the stream. If people want to hang out and watch me paint for a couple of hours, it's always a nice chat. But it does go on for a while. So
Wow.
that's most of what I do. But I really enjoy it. It's a good time. I think it's a nice community.
Wow. Is there any like artwork you have to like show off like right now or something that you made or recently or
Oh gosh.
done?
I don't have any out right now. I don't have any out right now. That was silly. They're all in a box. You'll have to join my stream in 2.5 hours if you want to see stuff.
Okay. Wow. So is that hard? Like I've tried Twitch before, and I know like behind the scenes, like the lighting, the microphone, and like the camera on your face, and like there's a lot that goes into it. Tell me
There
like
is a lot.
tell me like how you got started and all that like process that kind of led you to start and get to where you are now.
So I would first of all say a lot of trial and error. When I started, obviously I had no idea what I was doing. So there was a lot of stuff ups, a lot of very scuffed streams. There were times where like my internet would drop out or I wouldn't have any sound or
That's the
and
worst.
and I think probably what that taught me was just to like be calm and be patient and as much as you can try to just take it in stride, make it a joke. Don't let it throw you off or stress you out. Um, One of the first things I actually started doing, so before I started doing my Twitch stream, I was doing breaks on Facebook. So that was like a community break where people would share the cost of a box, and then I would open the box and send them the cards.
Oh,
And that got me a lot more comfortable using OBS in a really controlled environment because I just had this really small group of guys that liked to buy Pokemon cards for their kids, and they were really nice and they were really patient. So if I was not sure what was happening with OBS or something was playing up, it really didn't matter, and there was no like pressure from people that I didn't know personally. So I think that definitely helped my confidence.
mhm.
And the other thing is I do videos for YouTube as well. And when I first started doing that, I was actually filming my YouTube videos while I was streaming it on Twitch. And I would have maybe like 4 people watching me at a time. It was nothing. So there was very rarely chat. There was no distraction. But that just made it, I guess, easier to kind of make my way into it. And when I sort of had one person join that wanted to have a bit of a chat, it snowballed from there and got really easy. And I think it's really fun because you can interact with people in real time and make new friends.
So how long did this like start? Like, did COVID had any sort of impact on like maybe I don't know how long you've been doing it, but I know more people have been at home on their screens that
Definitely.
with it.
Definitely. So I full time I work in healthcare. So I've worked all through COVID.
Okay.
Um, so I wasn't really desperate for something to do, but it did kind of get to that point around peak COVID, probably be about 18 months ago now, maybe a little bit longer, where I was just starting to feel really burnt out, feeling quite, I guess, just disconnected from having some sort of community and just looking for something else to do to fill my time and have fun and to interact with people outside of work. And that was where it all kind of started for me. And it's been really fun. It's been really enjoyable.
So you already were like a big Pokemon collector to begin with, and then is that like is it just Pokemon cards or like any other like nerdy things, or is it like what is your collection and collecting?
Lots of nerdy things. So Pokemon, I started when I was a kid, when I was in primary. And I definitely fell off the wagon for a period of time when I thought I was too cool. I was in that like preteen, teenager phase. And then from there, you have no money and you can't do anything anyway. And then I went to Japan in 2017, and that was what really reinvigorated my excitement for Pokemon and all things Pokemon and buying cards. So as far as what I like to collect, I've been collecting mostly modern Pokemon. I do Japanese and English. I flip back and forth. I feel like I probably prefer Japanese to an extent, just in terms of, I guess, consistency and quality, but the accessibility sometimes can be really challenging. So I do sort of a mixture of both. I really like Pokemon plushies, and I have also a lot of Studio Ghibli plushies. They're sort of put away. You can't see them on the shelf at the moment. I'm very into anime, so I have a lot of anime figures. I have some manga, again, put away in the back room. So yeah, lots of nerdy things, definitely. As far as card games, the only other game I've ever really collected would be Magic the Gathering.
Okay.
And that's one that I really like playing. So not from I want to have a really big, expensive collection, more just I like to have decks that I can play people with when I feel like it.
You actually have like Magic decks, and you go to like events or like card stores, and
There's a card store near me that does a game on a weeknight, so sometimes I do go there. I do enjoy that.
Magic
What
is a
about you?
little
Do you collect?
compared to
It's
like
complicated.
you gotta
Yeah,
read
it is
what to
complicated.
do again. Do you grade your cards too, or what is grading like in Australia?
It's difficult. I know that like the bigger companies are still definitely where the money is. Like if you have a card that's worth a fair chunk and that you want to be able to resell, going with things like PSA are always going to be the right thing to do. I think it's probably the similar in the US, in that we've had heaps of like small companies just pop up all over the place. I've sent, so this is going to be one thing on my stream today. I've got a submission return that I'm really excited about. That's going to come back from a company I used recently. So I've sent a few things off, but it's not something I have heaps of experience with. I bought a few graded cards, and I guess that's probably one thing I feel more confident when I'm buying stuff on eBay, to buy a graded option, because I at least know it's going to be legit. It's going to be decent quality. But what about you? Do you do a lot of grading?
Oh yeah, like I think I have about 5,000 graded cards. That's kind of become
Whoa!
like I went all in. Like before, it was all like PSA is the best, and I would send. Back then it was like $6 a card for bulk grading, and then everything kind of got turned around, and the hype and Logan Paul, and they shut down and raised their prices, and I basically like went to CGC because they were affordable. They did the subgrades, so I
Yeah,
spent a lot on grading.
yeah, absolutely. But I'm sure, like, in terms of that time span, the value of cards has gone up so much. You probably made up that value in the value of your collection, at least, if you ever wanted to sell stuff down the track.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, the market is always kind of like all over the place. Um, but I feel like, let's say a card is worth $10, $15, you get it graded and it becomes worth $50, $60 sometimes. But no one talks about like the amount of time, work, and energy to like take a photo if you're doing eBay,
Yeah,
like the fees, and then there's taxes involved, shipping supplies, like all the
exactly.
little like things that even if it becomes more value, you're sometimes it's not worth sometimes the amount of it's a full time
Run around.
thing you got to
And
do.
you have to find a buyer as well. It's only worth as much as someone actually wants to pay for it at
That's
that point in time. I think that's the other side of it. I'm
most
definitely someone, I collect for my own enjoyment. I collect cards that I like, not so much because I think it's going to be worth something to someone else. I'm also very sentimental, and I don't like to sell things. And
me
you have
too.
to sell things to get your money back. I've been told that. So
Yeah. Well, that's the thing nowadays is if you want to keep your collection, like all your cards, you need to like have like a decent job
yeah,
because the amount of expenses and the price of cards nowadays it can really add up. But I'm similar to you in the sense of, oh, I like this Pikachu or this Ditto, and it just brings you joy, and I
yeah,
don't care if it's $5 or $100, I'm keeping it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I guess the other thing that I probably learned in the last several months is like I do need to think about a little bit more carefully about how I want to focus on collecting, and whether or not I want to open more things versus buy more singles, and whether or not I want to focus on Pokemon cards versus trainer cards, because I think it does, you're right, it gets really expensive, and if you sort of don't feel like you have a direction or a goal, you kind of get sucked into everything and want to do all of it, and it's just not realistic.
You can't collect them all. You just can't. You have to
You
kind of.
can't catch them all, yeah. I'm not Logan Paul.
You actually do like the Pokemon games on YouTube or Twitch as well? Like
I haven't been able to yet. I'm going to save up to get a capture card, I think, so I can play from my Switch to be able to cast to Twitch. Because I have really...
It's a lot of like connections and like streaming it.
It's really, it's all really complicated. I think that's one thing that I'm quite proud of myself, because I wouldn't consider myself to be very techie, but being able to figure out how to set up my streaming setup and have the lights and the microphone and just have everything working, but most of the time, not all the time, but having it working most of the time and being able to fix it, I feel like it was quite an achievement. It's a lot.
People don't appreciate the amount of behind the scenes work and thought that goes into the setup and having music and
Yeah.
Especially with Twitch, like it's challenging, you know.
Yeah.
Is there
and
any
you're trying to manage. Oh, sorry, go on.
Is there any like streamers or like people that you watch that maybe inspired you to, you know, do things a certain way, or some of the influencers that you watch?
I really so I watch a lot of Aussies, obviously, because that lines up with when I'm online. So one of the bigger ones would be OKJ Love. His name's Julian. So he does Twitch streams usually a couple times a week. And I think one of the things I really enjoy about him is probably the pacing of his streams. I think he's really good at engaging his audience in quite a meaningful way. So that, it's like you're sitting down and you're opening a box of cards with your friends. So you're having all of this banter and conversation, and things just kind of flow quite naturally. There's another Aussie called Perry Melbourne that I follow and love as well. He's a smaller streamer, and again, I think he's an avid player, so he's got a lot of really good intel about, I guess, what's happening in tournaments and where things are up to with that. So he'll share a lot of that information. But again, it's just nice banter. They're friendly guys. Perry was actually really helpful when I was trying to set up my OBS like view and how I would put things on. And I remember messaging and being like, how do I make my chat show up for other people? Like, I can see it. It's not on my screen. So I think it's one of those things that in this community, people are quite nice and helpful and willing to have a chat and help you get set up, which is really good.
Is there like do people like donate anything on Twitch, or like do you have like moderators too? Like I'm not like the most savvy with Twitch too. Like I watch people, but like is there anything like that people can support you or something like that?
Yeah, so I've got donations set up that go into a PayPal. So sometimes in stream, particularly if people are like trying to convince me to open something and I'm trying to budget, they might send a donation as a prompt to be like, open the pack. And I do have donations up to try to use some of that to save towards my capture card as well. Having a moderator, I think, is a good idea. When you're first starting out, if you don't have heaps of viewers and there's not lots of chatter, you don't need it. It doesn't make a big difference. But I think once you've got a little bit more chatter, and I think, honestly, particularly being a female in that internet space, I feel safer and more comfortable having a mod more often than not, because particularly if I'm distracted, like if I'm painting and I'm looking down, sometimes you'll get people come into chat and they make really inappropriate comments that like not only impact me, but are, potentially offensive and uncomfortable for other people within the chat. Sure. And having someone that's there and paying attention to just remove it and remove them before it causes a problem, I think is really helpful.
Okay. Yeah. sometimes people will say things just to get under your skin or to be a troll or be annoying, and there's a way to just ban people and give them the boot and not
It's really, yeah, it's really easy to do.
that can sometimes affect like just the mood of like where things are, and then and then you get into like an argument, or you start getting like people can trigger you, like they know like
Yeah.
how to poke your buttons.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of it's a funny space to sit in because when you're having conversations with people, it's obviously you have this nice back and forth. Whereas when you're sitting on Twitch, sometimes you're talking and you're waiting for a response. Or you might have some, I think one of the more frustrating things that sometimes happens is you might have someone in chat that is really fixated on talking about something that maybe you don't want to talk about or isn't relevant. So it's like you're trying to maintain a conversation about Pokemon, and then you've got this person that's sitting there talking about, the coronavirus vaccine or something else that's totally unrelated. And you start to feel really stuck, and you're like, oh, I like someone help, like jump in and talk to me about what I'm trying to talk about, so I don't have to just filibuster this whole time on my own.
You're somewhat facilitating like the direction of, hey, we can you can like redirect and refocus on something that's
Exactly.
relevant and sometimes too political, or all sorts of different things can get kind
Exactly. Or even, personal stuff, like all sorts of things.
of. What is the general audience that is it mostly people in Australia or age or just
No, I'm just going to close the window. There's a lawnmower. So I say most of my audience, when I've checked, is primarily in the US. And then I have some following in Canada, some in Australia, and some in the UK. So that does make it really tricky, I guess, from an international sense. Like you pointed out earlier, all of the time zones don't line up. So my streaming after work is like the middle of the night for most of the people that I stream for. So it's kind of, it takes a bit of flexibility, really.
that's tricky, the time and the day can make all the difference, whether it's the morning or the night, and that makes all a big difference. And if you're consistent, because when I stream, sometimes I'm just like out of the blue, like I don't know if I'm going on in an hour or tomorrow, and people want to know the consistency of you're going to be on today or not.
Exactly. Well, and I think especially if they're trying to plan, I mean, I've got a few people, I'm very lucky, that are really engaged in my content and want to know ahead of time because they're like, well, it's 5 in the morning for me. So I really want to be there, but I'm not going to set an alarm if you're not going to be on, which
Oh,
is totally fair.
wow. So you have like a kind of like a fan base that's really your regulars that tune in and
Yeah. And I think that's one of the really nice things, and that's something I really like about Twitch is you kind of build this little community of people that know you and that you know quite well, and they're reliably there, they're reliably chatty. It's always a fun, like positive interaction. And they can, like, even if they're not wearing that moderator badge, they can actually be really helpful if chat starts to get derailed. They can kind of help to rein people in and make it like that safe space that you want it to be. So I think that's really good. If you're interested in doing Twitch, I think my main advice would be patient with yourself, just try things. If you have people that you're close to that are able to join and support you in the short term, that'll make it more comfortable for sure. We've got a
mm,
couple hellos as well. So
I
hey to West Coast Adventure, hey to
agree.
Poke Ninjas, Miss Femme Slayer, hello, welcome to chat. Thank you guys for coming.
I think it's great, like even just doing this and collaborating and meeting, like we wouldn't have like connected if it wasn't through like Pokemon cards or and so social media plus Pokemon and like community, like I've met so many of like really great people just in the past year, just through Instagram and Twitch,
It's
just,
really nice. It's so nice. And I think that like definitely the positives of this community outweigh the negativity in my view. I think that anything in social media, there's obviously going to be be some form of contention. There's going to be drama. There's going to be people that are just out to promote themselves and put other people down and, you know, not be supportive of each other. I think that's going to be the same everywhere. But for the most part, I think people are quite kind, quite supportive, quite engaged. And it's been really nice, like you said, to be able to meet people like yourself, and do things like this and kind of branch out and meet each other's communities in a way that we probably wouldn't otherwise.
Yeah, for sure. Is there way I could see, like, can you show off like your setup, or like how you like, I don't know, your table, or like how, like I want to see like behind the scenes of like
Oh, it's messy. It's messy. All right.
house is way worse.
We'll turn it around. So my current setup, if you can see.
Wow.
So what we have, that's my microphone. That's a Shure microphone. And that was something I definitely took my time investing in. I would say don't buy audio equipment until you're sure. So you're sure that you want to do this because it's expensive.
Yeah.
Definitely made a big difference. Dual monitors, I would say, are really essential. I didn't have that for a long time. And it's made the biggest difference because I can have, like, if I'm painting, for example, I can have a reference up on one screen or multiple references on one screen, and then I can have chat, and I can have my stream up, I can have a poll up, I can have all that stuff up at once, and I'm not having to chop and change. I've got an Elgato key light
Wow.
that
Okay.
clicks on the back of the desk as well. And I would 100% investing in some sort of light. It doesn't need to be expensive lighting, but having a nice light is definitely worthwhile. The keyboard and mouse I have are the Razer gaming setup, the Pikachu. They came out in 2018, I think. They only released in China, but I got really lucky and was able to get them from Amazon, and they were great. Getting some nice headphones, definitely needed for streaming, editing videos, whatever. I think that was another sort of bigger investment in my view, but definitely worth it. Because I think one thing I found, particularly when it came to YouTube, was that having reasonable sound quality was one of the biggest things that kept people engaged. Like it to a point, it's like it almost didn't matter what I was talking about. If the sound was crappy, no one was going to be interested. Definitely.
Yeah.
And then I've got two webcams. So I've got one that puts on the back of a screen that points at my face. And then I've got one that points down and it's on a little stand that I can pull it out, push it back, and move it around to get it out of the way when I don't need it.
Okay. I'm impressed.
It's a whole thing.
That's professional. All the people don't appreciate how much like thought goes into like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right. It's gotta be quality, because that's what you're, like the Wi-Fi lagging out, or like my phone would die, or like
Exactly.
and you're like, that interrupts like what you're doing. So definitely
Exactly.
the right equipment helps.
Yeah. And I mean, even realistically, even if you didn't want to invest in equipment, being as polished as you can at the beginning might just mean, you're when I started, for example, I was literally just using my laptop. I had my laptop set up, it had a camera on the front, and I invested a lot of time into setting up my OBS in a way that looked professional so that all of my layouts were good and it was really clear what I was doing. And I used, I guess, branding opportunities where I could. So I've got a good friend called Maddie who lives quite close to me, in my area, and she does anime art and she does commissions. So she did like an anime drawing of me that I use for all of my branding across all of my streaming stuff. And that's just a way that I think it keeps it looking really professional and helps you tie things together. And it's not costly. Like it doesn't have to cost very much, but it just kind of adds that little bit of something.
Yeah, that's good. Wow. I mean, I've worked in OBS before, and OBS can be kind of tricky. Like, there's so many settings that it's like you sometimes I need to watch tutorials.
Yeah. And there, I mean, I've been doing it for a while, and there have been times recently where I've wanted to change one small thing, and then I go to change it, and it stuffs up something else, and I can't remember how to fix it, and then I make it worse. And I'm like, okay, take a deep breath, Google it, stop trying to save the world, because it is really complicated, and it's not as intuitive as a lot of other things that we use on a regular basis.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, I was going to ask you like, what are your hobbies? But I think I kind of know what your your main thing. So this takes up a lot of your time on like because you're working full time. You said
Yeah,
healthcare.
yeah. So I'm a dietitian team leader is what I do for work.
Okay.
So it's busy. A lot of responsibility. I think that's the other reason I like doing this is it's nice to kind of take a step away and do something that's just for me, that's just for fun, that doesn't have pressure around, supervising other people or potentially life-saving, interactions. It's just kind of like, yep, I'm just doing this for fun and there's no stress.
Yeah. Yeah. What are maybe like some advice to I don't know anyone who's watching this? I'll probably repost this on
Hi,
Instagram.
yellow cheeks. How you going, girlfriend?
What are some things that you would give advice to someone starting out, someone interested in it, or how to grow your social media, your Twitch, YouTube, TikTok? Like, do you like marketing? Do you advertise something or Facebook? What worked for you?
Well, I think I'll say Instagram is definitely where I've had the most success as far as following and all that sort of stuff. I mean, my YouTube and my Twitch are much slower. It's been a lot slower than I expected it to be, maybe. So I'm still figuring out how to grow there. I think probably the biggest thing, though, that I think is really important is just to be genuine and be yourself. And you will be able to, I guess, engage with people that are really interested in what you're doing and they're invested. And you can build some really nice, positive relationships. And I would say, in that regard, don't worry about the numbers because those relationships are something that's going to be meaningful and that's going to bring you a lot of joy and success.
Mm,
Um, and people see through it. I think if you're putting yourself out there in a way that isn't genuine, people will pick up on it and they're not going to be engaged with you because I think you can't get everyone to like you. It's the same thing with, real life. Not everyone's going to like you and we've got to accept that. So I think just be yourself. And if people like you and they want to engage and they want to follow and they want to do all the things, like that's fantastic. And if they're not interested, like that's also fine because I think there's gonna probably be more people that are not interested in anything I have to say or do than will be, and like that's okay. That's their prerogative. I don't like everyone, so why would I expect everyone to like me? Silly.
yeah, that's true. I think maybe the more you do social media, it's kind of like if people like it, they love it, they like it, great. And if they don't, then who cares? Like it doesn't. I, sometimes you have
Exactly.
to filter out like anything negative or some of the criticism that just is not helpful, and just being yourself. I think that's good advice.
Yeah. And start small, I think, is the other thing. Like if you're particularly when it comes to like the streaming, the YouTube, all that kind of stuff, um, probably another big bit of advice I would have is don't invest money until you're sure that you like it and you want to do it. Because as you can see, it can get really expensive. And if I just started out and bought all of this stuff and then was overwhelmed, I probably wouldn't have had as much fun if I'd put a bunch of money into it to begin with. But because it was something that built up over time and I knew that I really liked it, then I think the investment wasn't as scary. It wasn't daunting to put money into it because I knew that I really liked it. Um, and starting out as polished as you can from an affordability point of view. So, taking your time. If you're wanting to grow an Instagram account, you don't need to have the most expensive things or cards or setups or camera or anything. But I think with whatever equipment, whatever products you have, you can put some time and effort into making decisions about how you want to photograph it and how you want to present your content and how you want to engage with people. If you can start polished from that point of view, you're going to, I guess, have your foot in the door in a more constructive way to grow, rather than starting from, I don't know anything, I don't care, I'm just gonna whatever and post it. People may not engage with that. But that's just my 2 cents. I mean, I don't really know what I'm doing.
No, it seems like you do. Like you have experience, and you seem smart. Where like you're consistent with it. You know, some people who try it out and they're
Thank
like,
you.
"Ah," but I think you're consistent and make it fun, and you have the creativity that the artistic side of things of content creating and just
Yeah,
enjoying. Because once you stop enjoying it, then it's not fun for anyone else, and it's like people can kind of see that as well. If you're
people
like,
can see through it. 100%. Yeah, that consistency was really challenging when I went overseas for that couple of weeks. Um, Obviously, YouTube and Twitch just kind of went out the window, but I felt very dedicated. I was really proud of myself. It was like the day before my flight left. I was
mhm.
at home. I was like, all right, I'm going to take like 50 photos.
Oh, okay. and
And I did a bunch of reels. I didn't have content with me in it. So I had like 6 outfits out. I was like, all right, we're going to take reels, we're going to take photos, one after the other. It was very regimented, but I didn't miss a day. So I was really proud of that.
oh wow, I do notice that. I think a lot of people gravitate to people that show who they are, and rather than just the card, it's like they pose with it, and it's like this is me, and you're kind of putting yourself out there for other people to connect with you. Because I know other streamers who they don't show their face or not as personable, and they're just showing a card, which is cool. But I think that is useful and helpful for people to like. You put a lot of thought into what kind of content you're putting out there.
And I think that it's so personal if you want to be connected to it or not. Like I think you're totally right. There's a lot of really amazing content creators that I like to follow that are at either end of that spectrum. And I think it depends on what you feel comfortable with, how you like to engage with people. I've definitely found in terms of my own content, like particularly on Instagram, something that involves me in some way tends to get more engagement. And that's not the only reason that I post that way, but it is something that I've noticed. I think it's a trend, and I think it's probably the same for most people that, when you have that person to engage with and hold on to, it's more of an interaction. It's more social. Whereas if you're just posting a card, people might look at it and go, "Oh, I have that card." Whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm, that's true. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you put like a lot of thought into it. Like it's like there's just so much that like kind of consumes, and even when you're at work or there's so much that goes into it. Um, Collecting and just being part of the community, and um, do you actually sell like any extra cards that you have, or things like packs or things that do you sell it through like eBay or Mercari or IG when people ask you, can I buy a booster box from you? Like, what is it
I need
most?
to get I need to get more organized is the answer to that. That's part of the plan. I have bulk I need to move on. I have doubles of a lot of things I need to move on. And I think that the real answer to that is I've not been organized enough to be on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, this that's a whole other side of it, because I like to collect, but then the whole selling side is like, oh, how much is this Charizard worth? Is it?
Exactly.
I didn't check the comps, and you have so many cards in your. People are like, I want that one, and you're like, I don't know, is this a valuable card? And you don't want to like the whole like selling side of things can get kind of confusing, and there's a lot of kind of stress when you're thinking about people like, oh, I want to buy a whole booster box from you. Like, oh, I just wanted to like talk and have fun, but okay, if you want to like buy this from me, then that's when it gets kind of like more of a business side of things, or more of like that can be tricky.
Yeah. And you got to make, I guess, informed decisions. And I think that's one thing I do want to work on and do better at is moving stuff on that I'm not, I guess, really enjoying, or things that I think are not really adding to my collection in terms of those goals. But it's a lot of organizing. And I think when you're working full time and you've got life and all that other stuff happening, something's got to give. So that's what, for me, that's one of the things that had to give for now. But I
Mm.
will have to figure it out. I do realize that.
Do you feel like it's hard to balance like work, your social life, and like family? And so most of your family's in Kansas, right?
Yeah,
Or
extended family is, my parents are here.
okay,
But yeah, all of my extended family is overseas.
okay, yeah. Is that something that you find difficult, or like time management and just organization and
I'm notoriously organized.
oh,
So one of my more recent jobs, about, gosh, a bit over 2 years ago, I was working in a role that I had to commute just over 2 hours each way to and from work, and that was full time. So I got to this point in my life where I could do everything. Like, I could make dinner, I could exercise, I could do my grocery shopping, I could clean the house. Like, I could just be a whole organized person in a week, where I was effectively working close to 70 hours when I included the amount of travel time I had. So when I came back to working somewhere that's much closer to home, I've honestly felt like I have just I have extra days to just do whatever I want, because that's kind of how I've structured myself.
wow, that's good. I mean, you do seem like very organized. That helps. That
You've got
helps.
to be, if you've got a crazy commute, definitely. You've got to be organized.
Wow. Okay. I saw like some other like figures, or like is that what like what's in the background? I see like some collection pieces in the.
There's heaps of anime figures
I see
happening.
a giant, I see a giant Bulbasaur. I think I see Vivid Voltage.
Yeah, there's some ATVs, there's plushies, there's tins, there's anime figures, there's an assortment of all sorts of things happening back there. Lots of things that make me happy. I like to have out so I can look at them.
What are some of the animes or mangas that you're into?
I think my favorite, someone asked me this earlier today, my absolute favorite is Dead Man Wonderland. And it's not the most popular anime, but I just love it. It's got this great, like, hilarious female protagonist. And I think that's probably the main thing I really enjoy about it. Claymore is another one that I really like. And again, you've got some strong, like, female leads. I really like that. Anything Studio Ghibli would be the other thing.
Okay, those are
Anything Ghibli will make me happy.
kind of like almost like niche things that like not mainstream that everyone knows about, and that actually makes it more like nerdy. To be honest, like
Be more nerd. I know, yeah, more nerdy. If I was like, I like Bleach.
that's good. That's good. And what games do you play?
Well, on stream, we've played a couple of horror games, um, and that's been community voted. That's been community mandated. That was what people wanted to see, was to
Wow.
see me get scared. As far as things that I really like, I probably like more the fantasy FPS side of things.
Okay.
So Devil May Cry was a series that I really enjoyed. Darksiders is another series that I really loved and have played through. There's Alice and Alice Madness Returns games I really liked. Legends Arceus. I'll be giving one of these away on Twitch if you want to join today. But Legends Arceus I've really enjoyed a lot as well.
I'm doing that same giveaway. I got one of those somewhere lying around. I just bought one for a giveaway too. That's good. You do like, and then you like ship it out to them, and that's good. That brings in like, it's good to have something that people feel like they're winning just for like participating and being part of the stream.
Yeah.
Hmm. Let's see what else. Hmm. What else do I want to ask you while I have you on here? um. Hmm.
We covered a lot.
I know we did. Hmm. Do you feel like when someone asks you a personal question in the chat or something that is there certain things that you don't disclose? Like maybe you feel uncomfortable about it, or maybe it's too personal, or maybe it's like I don't know. Is there any like sometimes mental health comes in, or like everyone's kind of gone through their like dark times, or is there anything that someone brings up that you just like not really, you know, or are you more like open and sharing about everything and anything?
I'm usually pretty chatty. What's happening here, Corey? We're just having an introduction. So, Chairman, wanted to say hello. I'm
Yeah,
Pokimonbreaks. I make content, so we're just saying hi, meeting
banging.
each other, getting to know each other. So, I guess probably for me, I the biggest things that I'm cautious about, I don't want to dox myself. I don't want people to, know where I live or know too much about me that my personal safety is at risk.
Yeah, of course.
So sometimes people ask like really specific questions about where you work or like what area you live in, and that kind of stuff makes me feel really unsafe. So I
Hmm.
ignore all of that. I guess when it comes to like really personal life stuff, I talk about what I'm comfortable talking about. And if people start asking things that I don't want to talk about, I tend to just not answer it. And if they ask the same question again, I might say, oh, like, I'm really sorry. I don't feel comfortable talking about that. Please stop asking. And then if they keep asking overly personal questions, I might mute them for a period of time so they can think about what they've done.
Well,
Put them in the corner for a bit.
like I think girls have it a lot harder in the Pokemon or even like any social media.
Yeah,
Um, I feel like there's a lot of harassment and just things that like people can say anything on the internet to
they
maybe I
can.
don't know, and they could be teenager just or they could be just like stalkers or like random like you can't trust like
You don't know who people are online. And I think the other thing, and probably I've noticed more so on Twitch than anywhere else, is because you're giving so much of your attention for quite a long period of time. I think sometimes people really overestimate the level of relationship that you have with them.
uh-huh.
So, I'm sitting and talking to a camera and to a group of people for, maybe 6 hours at a time. But the person that I'm talking to might potentially feel like I have spent 6 hours with them individually, and now we're really good friends and we're really close. And if they want to ask me overly personal questions about my life, they don't see that as reaching. So I think sometimes those boundaries can be really difficult to navigate. And particularly with my personality, like I'm quite patient, I'm kind, I'm happy to answer questions, I like to engage with people. So I think having those boundaries has been really important. And something I've learned more over time is learning to not feel like I have to answer everything and not feel like I have to be, overly nice about everything if something makes me uncomfortable, like just to say it. Because I don't think that's people's intention to ask overly personal questions, but I think sometimes the messaging gets lost with the amount of time and interaction and attention that they get through that media. Because it's different on YouTube. If I film and record something that goes out to the universe, no one has had any personal interaction with that as it's been created. Whereas when you're streaming, you're having all of these conversations with people. And it's a very different dynamic. It's not like anything I've ever done before.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like people will take advantage of just being warm or kind and just being yourself, and people will, like if you said you don't have the boundaries, or sometimes you just need to be assertive about, like, especially if it's an ongoing thing. I mean, and things can be misinterpreted, and you don't want to be mean to people, but at the same time, it's like, please
You
stop.
got to toe the line. I've got a mod that's much more assertive than me.
Good.
So if I start to look uncomfortable, he's like, "You're muted. You're muted."
Good. Someone said, I just checked out Dead Man Wonderland. It looks cool. Gonna start watching it.
Like it. It's great. I hope you like it. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, I think for myself, I'm coming to a point where it's like I love collecting so much that it's like, okay, how much am I really spending? How much do I need to, like, the finances is really like coming into play. Like, okay, I can't collect, I can't keep everything. And, I think long term, like, will I still be into Pokemon 5, 10 years from now? And I think I still will be, but there's so many variables with, like, sometimes it's investing or like how you use your money, because like in real life stuff, it's like you need to have money saved up for, like, so it feels almost like I don't know, like a luxury or like an extra, like it's not a necessity, it's not water. You can live
Isn't
without.
it though? I know what you mean. And I guess like I like to have a budget, and I usually think about it as, you've got your necessities, you've got your bills, your mortgage, food, all that kind of stuff. And then whatever's left over is your play money. And, if you want to use your play money towards Pokemon stuff, or towards saving for a holiday, or towards clothes or makeup or whatever, I mean, obviously the last one might not apply to you.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no
yeah.
judgment.
Tons of pickup orders coming in soon, and
Love Sephora. So yeah, I think it's just about budgeting out and making decisions about where you want to put your expendable income. Roger, that's a really interesting question. What does it mean to be successful in your content? I think what it would mean to me would be having a community of people that are on the same page and share interests, and that we can talk and share our love of something together and create something new and interesting. I think that would be success. What do you think?
I think you're hitting it on the nose. If you're not happy and not enjoying, or you're not passionate about the hobby, or like you're doing art and you're just chilling with people and vibing with people, and that's what I love. And if once you stop loving what you're doing and you feel like you're being forced to do something, or once it's not fun and you're not happy about it, then it's like, then why, it loses its meaning. So I think that's kind of ties into success. Oh no, our Wi-Fi connection, you're breaking up. Oh no. Oh, my bad. I was lagging or something.
Something happened, yeah. But yeah, I agree. I think if you're not enjoying it, why do it? Definitely.
Hmm.
It's meant to be a hobby. It's meant to be fun.
Someone says, I like it. Hey Kim, I send you DM about commissions.
Ooh, thank you, Roger. I will get back to you. Was that
So
I'm guessing that's for a Pokemon, an altar card.
oh, wow. So you like do certain paintings, or like I
Hmm.
don't really know what it looks like, but is
So
that
pretty much, I'll do one for Easter. So on my stream today, we'll take one of these little bunnies, and I'll cover all of the text and all of the outer bit, and I'll extend the artwork to make it a full art card, and I'll add some other extra Pokemon and bits and pieces to make it like a fun Easter artwork. So That's what I'm going to do
Oh,
today. But if people have something that they want specific, um, they can essentially buy it and I'll paint it.
I like that. That takes a lot of creativity and like to extend the artwork because you have to like you have to think outside of the box, literally.
Yeah, literally, you have to think outside the box. That's exactly it.
That's cool. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you got to stream, but if anyone else has any questions in the chat, feel free to ask him. We definitely have to do this again, or I don't know. I just like to collaborate and meet with other people and get to know other streamers, or because
Yeah,
it's 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 fun and it's like there's just you can learn a lot from other people.
absolutely. So we did get one question that was about advice for people that want to start streaming. I think probably my biggest things would be don't spend a bunch of money until that you know that you really like it. So spread out your expenditure. From a physical standpoint, I'd say start with what you have, if at all possible. If you've just got an old laptop, that was what I started with. Have to go with that before you buy a microphone and an extra webcam and lighting and all that other stuff like it. Bit of advice I would say is try to get as polished as you can from the beginning without spending money. So if you're using OBS or Streamlabs or whatever, try to get it set up in a way that looks professional. Try to use some sort of branding. And just take your time. I think be patient with yourself and acknowledge that it's going to take a long time to get a following. It's going to take a long time to get much happening in chat at all, and that's okay. That's totally normal. So don't beat yourself up and don't think that you're going to be like the next whoever it is that's really big, because it's not going to happen straight away. It takes ages.
Yeah.
But that
How
takes a
lo-
bit of the pressure off too.
how long? Like, I mean, sometimes I have streams where it's like three people are there and you're just kind of like no one's talking and it feels like is anyone there or you can't like engage with people sometimes or but I think the consistency and it sounds like you have like a pretty good formula down.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is that you get used to talking to yourself to an
You do.
extent. Like you just have to get used to the fact that you might be sitting there for the whole time and you're mostly talking to yourself.
Do you
Um,
voice
and
tired?
just,
Because like
not really.
no, okay. My voice like I've done a 25-hour live stream. That was too much. But
That's
sometimes
too much.
I do like long streams because once you're on, it's hard to stop. It's so fun and people are like
Yeah,
hanging. You're talking so much because you're like the main person
yeah,
host that like it takes a lot of you don't realize how much energy like you got to take breaks sometimes or
100. Breaks are important. Having water, snacks, getting up and stretching your legs. I think all that stuff is you underestimate it when you start doing it. And then once you've been doing it for a little bit, you start to go, okay, like my back's feeling it, and like I need to get up now.
yeah.
So yeah, building in some breaks, I think, is important. I will never do a 25-hour stream. Never happening.
Well, I hit 16 and I'm like no one's done this before. And I was like it was kind of like a personal goal like we're gonna do it and like
Break the glass ceiling.
and then after you're done you're like I'm never doing that again. That was a horrible
100%.
idea.
Yeah, 100%. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, I can see the writing on the wall. That sounds like a horrible idea now. My longest stream is probably a bit over 8 hours. I did I opened like a booster box. I did one card altar, and then I got this massive raid with more viewers than I'd ever had before, right as I was ready to wrap up the stream. And I was like, well, I can't just leave now. So I was like, I just started over. I was like, let's open another box of something. Like, let's paint another card. Like, let's just do it all over again. And that was still one of my most viewed streams, I think. So probably really good. I kept going, but it was a big day. It was a big night.
That happens, especially when you're about to like, okay, I'm done, and then like where did these 40 people like herd of crowd just
Where
come
did
in?
we come from? Yeah.
Wow. Do you actually like clip and edit like for YouTube or like that the whole like editing side of things or like even TikTok or that takes a lot of time.
It takes ages. Like the reel that I put up today, I'm embarrassed about how long that took me to edit and get the text to show up at the right time. Um, for the most part, I mostly will film things specifically for YouTube now, and I feel like that's a lot easier than trying to edit a stream because the streams are so long that it's really hard to find those like little nuggets of gold that you want. And it's just, to me, it just doesn't feel worth it to try to edit a stream into something viable. Like I'd rather just film something that is dedicated. And
Always.
then when I'm looking at it, I've got 30 minutes of footage. I'm going to edit that down to like a 17-minute video rather than 6 hours of footage. Like that's just hell.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, you're already like, I would say in my eyes, successful, and I think you've found success as it is, but I think you're just going to be growing from here on out. I mean, just being consistent and kind of maybe like you have this like confidence. I can see like the self-belief, like I'm just doing what I love and I'm just being me. And I think if you keep doing that, you know, a year, 5 years from now, like, who knows what you stick with it and enjoy it. And it really kind of expands and helps you grow as a person too and with the community. So,
Thank you
um,
so much. That's so
yeah,
kind of you to say.
yeah. Like I believe in you. Like I believe in myself, and like I think that's gonna carry you into even greater success. Um, because I think you have like the personality, you have the brains to navigate. When you troubleshoot or all the technology things and the. I think you just got to keep doing what you're doing because you have the recipe. Like you're cooking up the meal, and people want more of it. You just got to keep grinding.
Thank you so much. I feel the same about you. And thank you so much for talking with me today. It's been really fun.
Yeah, I definitely
Well,
have.
thank you. We'll have to do it again for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you for all the hearts. I hope that you have a happy Easter if you celebrate. And if not, I hope you enjoy a long weekend if you can, or at least some extra pay in your pocket if you're working. And I'll let you go, but I'll see you later. And if you want
Yeah,
to join my stream, it's in an hour and a half on Twitch. All of the links are in my bio on my Instagram.
yeah. Everyone go follow Pokimonbreaks. Kimmon. I like the, the little pun. Go follow her on Twitch and YouTube and all that jazz. I'll probably talk to you later, or we can
Definitely.
some other hangout another time. But
Absolutely.
I appreciate. Thank you for just taking the time out of your day. Um, yeah, it was fun.
Thank you for reaching out. Have a good day. Bye.
All right, bye. Happy Easter.